Hello and welcome to my British Grand Prix driver predictions, the series in which you guys, the audience, can get involved following the link that is in the top line of today's description. You'll be asked a selection of questions which we will briefly go over in a little bit. So without further ado, let us jump on in to the British Grand Prix predictions for this weekend's Grand Prix, for qualifying, a bold statement, and also the Grand Prix. So the way that this series works, by following that link in the top line of the description, you'll be asked for your top 5 for qualifying. That is the qualifying of the sprint race, not of the Friday's qualifying for the sprint race. You'll then be asked your top 5 for the Grand Prix, and then one bold, encompassing statement across the entire weekend. Now, this bold statement can apply to qualifying, it can apply to the Friday qualifying, or even the sprint qualifying. It can apply to anything to do with the race as well. There is then a small little point scoring system. You will receive 2 points for a correct driver in the correct position for your top 5 in qualifying, and then 1 point for a correct driver that is inside your top 5, but not in the correct position. Exactly the same scoring is then done for the top 5 for the Grand Prix, and then you will receive 5 bonus points if your bold statement is correct. So like I said, please do follow that link in the top line of the description to get yourself involved in this audience prediction championships, and do not forget that you can make submissions all the way up to the start of the sprint race that is happening, and you can make multiple submissions as well. I will just take your latest submission as your final one. And then finally, just to reiterate, the top 5 for qualifying is the top 5 at the end of the sprint race, and that is the finishing order as well. So it is not the starting grid, it is the finishing order of qualifying. Now let's take a brief look at the current leaderboards of everybody and where they all sit. It is Evan Darcy that is still leading the way on 131 points, 10 clear of Joe Bisho, and then fairly clear of myself and a Doctor Who channel as well. We then have a bunch of people in the lower half of the top table. We've got people like Matej, Joshua, Ritaraj, etc. Then we have a bunch of people in the bottom table there. We've got people like Andre13, AB Baby, Boros Rabbit, Tushar Sign as well. There are so many entrants. There is then a second half of this leaderboard. We've got people like Mika Tuckinen, Dan Claver, Andrew Smith. We've got Millie. We have Channel Infinity. We have Taylor. We have Robert. And then we have F-Ware at the bottom. Now, do not worry if this is your first time entering the Audience Prediction Championships, as there is an average leaderboard that I will be posting on the video that gets released on Sunday. This takes your average score for the entries that you have made, and it pits all of us together, regardless of how many entries that we have made into this season. And so with that all out of the way, let us jump on into my predictions for this weekend's Grand Prix. And we're going to start with my top 5 for qualifying at the end of the sprint race. And for pole position for the Grand Prix, I've gone for Lewis Hamilton. I do think that the new Mercedes upgrades and the fact that being at home is going to help him just that little bit to overcome the might of Max Verstappen and the might of Red Bull that has been this season. And then in third place for the sprint race, I've gone for a cheeky Lando Norris. I do think he can actually get up there, judging by his previous form in the first 9 races of the season. I think it's very doable. P4, I've gone for Sergio Perez, and P5, Valtteri Bottas. I am honestly not expecting a whole lot from the sprint race on Saturday. It's only going to be 17 laps around the Silverstone Grand Prix, so that's not too many. Yes, it's a decent track with lots of overtaking potential, which is good. If it was sprint qualifying at Monaco, for example, that would just be a bit crap. So at least it's around a track like Silverstone, but I just don't think it's going to bring too much excitement. I don't think a great deal is going to happen. And then plus giving points to the top 3 as well, I don't think that's needed. But anyway, that is my top 5 for qualifying. Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, Sergio Perez, and Valtteri Bottas. So from qualifying, we'll take a look at my top 5 for the Grand Prix. And I've gone for a Lewis Hamilton home victory. Home victory number 8. Very closely followed. I don't think it's going to be at all a dominant weekend. Closely followed by Max Verstappen. I do think they're going to be exchanging the lead of the Grand Prix for a lot of this race. And judging by the current weather situation in the UK, I also don't think it's going to be a rainy race, as we haven't had rain, or at least I haven't had rain down in Oxfordshire in a little while. And then P3 completing the podium, Sergio Perez, mainly because that Red Bull car is just immense. And if he can qualify highly in that sprint race, at least top 4, then it's his podium to lose. That car has that potential. And then P4, I've gone for Valtteri Bottas, and P5, Lando Norris. I find it really difficult to place Valtteri Bottas, and then also the midfield people as well, because we've got Lando Norris that is just dominating the midfield currently, and actually technically dominating Valtteri Bottas. But I just find it really difficult to place them, especially in the Grand Prix. And then finally, we'll take a look at my bold statement, and that is that there will be a crash on the Saturday sprint race. And there we go, there are my predictions all done and dusted for the British Grand Prix. Please let me know in the comments down below what you are going to expect from today's sprint race, Saturday's sprint race, and also the Grand Prix. And also make sure to get involved using that link in the top line of the description to submit your predictions. But that is all I've got for you today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next episode with whatever and whenever I decide to make it. I'll see you guys then.